I hope someone's out there. Technical difficulties this morning, so hopefully we've got this. Let's see if anyone is out there. I'm going to go ahead and start. Hopefully some people will pop in. I was having technical difficulties, just me, but you know. So let's get started. We've got today's February class to go through. But before we do, a couple announcements. First of all, we have a, I'll show it to you when I get my camera down the other way. We have a hostess code that is good for one more day today. And the celebration sale this is the very last day. So I encourage you to get in there and get your free products. And in April, you should all know that the hostess code system is going away. So what's going to happen with that is the more you order within the Stampin' Up! Site, the more credit you will get individually instead of doing a hostess code. That is going to completely go away. So if any of you have hosted events and you have those orders still open, I would encourage you to take care of those in this month period, or coming up month, March, because they are going to go away. So I don't want to have any of you lose any credit that you might have, because they tell us once a new system goes into effect, there'll be no going backwards. So that is important. And next month's class, let me switch you over to my other camera and we're going to show you what I have going on in the March class. And hi Diana, thanks for saying hi, I appreciate it. And from Florida, boy, I'm envying your sun lately. I wish we could have a little bit of it here. Although I should say the last 2 days here in the state of Washington, it has been pretty. But I am ready for March and April. I was telling my husband in the last 2 days, we have a tulip festival here every year, and I can't wait to go to that. So I'm hoping we'll be in town and able to do that. So let me show you what we have coming up for our next month's card class. Let me bring those in. Let me switch you down to my other camera. Here we go. And this is what we have going on. Let me take them out of the cellophane so they're not so shiny. Let's see if I can get some more light down here. It's a little bit better. This is our card class for coming up in March. So as of tomorrow, for any order that's $60 or more, I will be sending you all this product for free. No shipping, just I'll send it to you for free. All the products will be cut. The only thing I can't do for anyone is stamping. And then if you wanted to, you can purchase this outright for $30 plus $7 worth of shipping. And you can get to that over on my website, which is Susan Sutherland, papercraftpossibilities.net. I almost gave out my other email address, which is, if you want it, it's SutherlandSusanM@Yahoo. Anyways, this is a card, and I love this is probably my favorite card of the whole 4 set. We've got our border dies down here that I've used. I've used our stencil / mask that just came out. So that is how we get the hydrangea, one of my favorite plants. And this is what we have for the inside. And some of these are the die cuts that came with the birthday collection that has just come out. So there's card number 1. Card number 2 here is a birthday card, and I like the little bit of foiling there. I've done some embossing on the back layer. I've used our deckled edge die cuts here. And then we have here the center. And again, this is a die cut. And actually, die cut's the wrong word. I would say they are punch outs. So there you go for that card. And we've got some of the foiled ribbon or string twine up there. Really like that little bit of glitz. And this one's really fun. It uses some of that paper from the birthday collection again. And it has a little pop-up surprise in there. And this paper is in that paper collection for the birthday. And I thought it just needed a little bit of glitz, if you will. So I kept away from the pinks and things like that on this card. I just went more with the foil, and I believe that's Pool Party in there. Hey, Carol. Hi, Pat. You can't see the cards? Wonder what's going on. Oh, my fault. Thanks for letting me know. Let me switch over. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Bear with me, guys. Oh, I do not know what's going on. There we go. Oh my goodness, you guys. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, let's start over. This is the card I was talking about, and Carol, thanks for letting me know. This is the hydrangea card. I've cut out the border and used all the paper from the birthday collection. And I've popped this up a little. This is a stenciling mask. And here we have the inside of it. So these are the cards again for the March class. This one here is one that is, I've got our deckled edges die cuts. I've got our embossing folder. A lot of these are the pop out die cuts that are in that paper collection. And here we have the inside of that one again. Are you guys seeing these okay now? Can you just let me know? And let's see, anyone gonna let me know if you can see these now? Let's see. Anyways, I'll keep going. Hopefully you'll let me know yes or no. Thumbs up, thumbs down. This is another paper that is from that same birthday collection. And here we go with that. You can kind of see it has a pop-up design in here. And I chose to keep all the pinks and greens out of this card. So there we go. There's that. Ah, thanks, Diana. And here I'm doing an unusual sized card. I don't see these a lot in Stampin' Up, but I think they have their place and time. So this is a slimline card. And again, these are the punch outs, whatever you would like to call them, from the birthday set. I've done some embossing in the background. And here we have the inside of that card. And those are the four. So let me bring them back in, get rid of some of this cellophane. So we've got this one, this one, this one. Let's see if I can straighten these out for you. And this one, I'll put it down here. So if you want to take a screenshot, that is what we have going on for the March class. Any questions on those? Diana, what's your favorite one? I see your comment. Which one did it belong to? I'd love to see your comment there. I always like to know if I'm going in the right direction with all of you, or, you know, if I need to bend another way just to make everyone happy. So there we go. Let me put those aside. And let's walk through the class for this time. And just once again to let you know, this is the hostess code, which is only good for today. I'll be changing it again tomorrow, and that will be up on my Facebook group. I'll be sending out a newsletter, so if you're not signed up for my mailing list, go on over there. So let's get started. Card number one. So card number one, this is what card number one from this month looks like. Ah, the diamond one. Yeah, I tend to like a little bit more sophisticated card. I'm not one for doing a lot of little characters and things like that. It's just not my style. I do it when I need to make everyone happy, but I would say the little bit more sophisticated cards are more my style. The fun fold card, yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think I will keep heading that way. As long as I get feedback from you guys, that's where I'll head. So let's look at how I brought this card together. So for those of you who have received my package of products, you'll have an envelope, and on the bottom of them, I've usually put a pencil mark, hard to see, but card number 1. And this is everything that you should have in there. So you have a front cover, you have your card base, you have all of these little pieces of white. So you'll notice that one piece has a cutout from that because I have chosen to take a die cut through there just to save on paper. You have a stitched, hopefully you can see that, a stitched piece of paper, and then you have another card base. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of white. I'm going to put those aside for right now. And I've started including these little bags with all of your little tiny pieces just so they don't get lost. In here you should have, it looks like 3 flowers, 2 leaves, a white piece that we'll be typing a sentiment on, and some little jewels in there. So first what I'm going to do is bring in my craft sheet. And we're going to do all of our stamping first. And I'm going to work with a die cut, or not a die cut, a mask first. And this is Linked Together Decorative Masks. And I'm not sure if this one's out yet or if it comes out March 4th. I should have probably looked before I got on here, but I didn't. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lay this down on here. And I'm just using this one mask from the set, and it's mask number 2. And let me see if I can squeeze you guys in here a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually use some of my tape to hold that down. And this is my low tack tape. I'd love to know what the weather is at your part of the world and where you're from. That would be awesome. Okay, so I have my ink blending, and I've brought in my Melon Mambo ink. And I also have a scratch piece of paper here. Always have those handy. And we're going to bring in this ink, but I'm tapping off on this piece of paper here. And what I want to do is I want to kind of blend this out on the bottom. So we're going to have a little bit stronger color here, and it'll go off lighter on the bottom. So let's start on the top. And then I'll kind of let my brush kind of come down to a lighter tone here. Okay, I think we're getting it. On my sample, I had masked off the bottom here, and you could do that if you'd like. I just kind of wanted it in this particular card just to show you how I can just kind of let it fade off gradually and not have a straight line. Hi, from Maryland. Carol, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. I bet you're still cold. Oh, it's sunny? Sunny and cool and windy. You're probably a lot like our weather then. Okay, so let's pull this up, and that's what we have there. And I think I'm actually going to add in one more mask on this one. Let's see what I can come up with. Let me wipe this off real quick. I forgot to wet my chamois before I came on, so I'm just going to use a baby wipe on this. I think I'll bring in, let's do mask number 1. Let's see what happens with that. Okay. And I'm just kind of doing my own thing. In these masks, there's a notch up here in the left-hand corner. Hopefully you can see that. So you can go ahead and, if you're doing layers upon layers, that's how you would line that up to make sure that you get your, your multi-stenciling down well. Okay, let's put that down there. There, bring in more ink. Let's see how this goes. Just to make it a little bit different. Okay, I think we're getting stronger up here. How many of you have ordered from Celebration? I have a stack of things that I've gotten for free, which also means I've been shopping too. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up carefully and see what that looks like. Oh, I like it now. So there we go on the stenciling. So I'm gonna put that aside just to have it dry out for a minute. And put that aside. I was able to wipe that off. Now I'm gonna leave my Melon Mambo open for a minute because we're going to do our inside stamping panel. So, and what I encourage you all to do who have gotten my kits is make sure what I'm doing over here is dry fitting it, just to make sure I'm happy with the cut. Sometimes we overcut on purpose, so make sure that you are happy with this. And I've got a 1/4 inch in on all of my sides. So if you're happy with that, then we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring in our stamps. And for this stamp, I have used the Happy Hibiscus. And we're going to go in for the stamp that says, thank you. Thanks for being so kind. For those of you who are new to stamping too, keep in mind that when you use your red inks, they are going to dye your stamps just a little. You can kind of, I've got ink all over my hands. You can see that there, but they still work just fine. But you do want to be conscientious of cleaning your stamps after you use them. I'm over here getting a stamping block. Okay, we've got one of those there. Inking that up, and I'm going to do my test stamp. Let me try that one more time. I wasn't pressing down together. Or I should say on all sides, I wasn't pressing equally. I'll leave it there a minute just to make sure the ink sinks in. Let me wipe this off. I seem to get ink everywhere when I'm stamping. Okay, and then I've got a hibiscus over in the corner. Again, from the same stamp set, Happy Hibiscus. And let's come down in the corner with it. There we go. So that stamping is done. And we're going to put that ink away, and then I believe we're going to Granny Apple Green. And so now we're going to do this right here. And Granny Apple Green. And you make me smile. And I think, yep, it's in the same set. And why I didn't have this pulled out, I don't know. Let me see. Which one is it? This is it. Sometimes it's hard to read them upside down. I'm going to put it in here kind of sideways. I'm going to do my test stamp. Boy, this block has had a lot of love. Let me see how this stamp turns out. I like that. So now we're going to come over to our little bag of tricks here. Oh, no problem, Bet. And again, I apologize for the problems we had when I first came on. So put that aside. Let me put it over here with our stenciled one. And let's ink this up again. And make sure, because the way this die cut is, it's kind of hard to flip it over if you make a mistake. So I try and be really careful. And if by chance, you know, you need to, you can always cut a piece of white cardstock for this if you don't have this stamp set. Okay, there we go. There's that one. So we've got that stamping done. And I believe that's all of our stamping on this particular card. So let me close this up. Put this over to the side, get some of this ink off of my brush. And let's start putting stuff together. So here we have our card base. Oh, I've got some ink up here. Let me get rid of that. In fact, let me put that aside. Okay. Let's put our inside in first. I think that would be a better idea. So I'm going to grab my ink like this. I use this for my bigger pieces, I've learned lately. And I will use my smaller ink, the Bearly Art glue, when I have tinier pieces, because it comes out in a much thinner line. Okay, so we have that. Now let's figure out these pieces for the front. We have this one, and again, do a dry fit. Make sure you're happy with that. Looks like I have some overage there, so I'm gonna put that on there the way I want, and then I'm going to hand cut what the overage is. So again, let's line this up and put this down. I know that I'm gonna have to cut more off of the right-hand side. Okay. And I'm coming up to the crease here, or the score line, and yours should be scored from the kit. And let's lay that down. This is Melon Mambo ink, or ink, pardon me, paper. And cut off a little down here. All right, much better. Now we're going to bring in our stenciled piece, and this should be back here. So you're looking at the piece. Some of you have die cut out of it and some of you don't. Do a little bit of a dry fit there. Make sure you're happy with that. And then we're going to bring back in our glue. And put that down. Just kind of making sure you're even on all the sides. Then we're going to come in with this piece, and you can put your glue on all four sides and the middle. I think we got that there. Whoops. And making sure that our lightest point is on the bottom of our stenciling or our masking. Okay. We've got that. So now it's time to do some layering. We've got this. And within this little bag here, let's see if we can get everything out. There we go. And let me bring in some dimensionals, which are foam dots. I'm working on eliminating one of these here. I'm almost used them all up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna center this, and let's put some dimensionals down. And I'm gonna try and keep them off of the edges over here on the right-hand side, because I'm gonna do some layering. So let's pull these release papers off. Let's see if anything's going on up here. Nope. I'm looking at our people who are talking to me. See if there's any comments. Okay. So we have that. So what we don't have in this set is, I'm realizing, is you don't have, I sent a piece of paper. This would be it. And I didn't cut these before I came on, unfortunately. But this paper is to cut out your hibiscus. And the reason why I didn't send these die cuts to you is I can't stamp. So if you don't have the hibiscus set, then this piece of paper is to do any floral design that you want, or anything that you would want to tuck underneath here. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do, because I'm going to go back and add my hibiscus later, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these pieces in, and I'm going to bring in my Bearly Art glue. And I'm just going to put some glue on the base here. And then I double layered up my leaves. So this one has some embossing in it, and this one does not. So I'm going to layer that in there. You do what you think is right for you. Okay. And then with this one, what I had done is I have layered this up. So in other words, glued it down and then layered it over on top of the banner there. And you might have to hold it a minute. And then what I'm going to do up here, because I don't have my hibiscus cut out, is I'm going to go ahead and layer these, or not layer them, glue them down, but I'm only going to glue them on one side. So when I get my hibiscus cut out, I can then slip it underneath there. So just one side. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do here is add on our gems. And at the top, I had put a large one and a small one. Scoot that over there. And now we're going to come, excuse me, I almost took the one off the card. And I'm bringing one down here by the leaves. So I'll go back off camera and cut out my hibiscus, and I apologize I didn't have them. But again, if you don't have the hibiscus die cuts, the reason why it wasn't die cut for you is so you could go through with this piece of paper that I had shown to you and do your own thing. Okay, so we have one card down. Let's go on to card number 2. Card number 2 is our butterfly card. And this probably is my favoritist card. Is that a word, favoritist? Just because I think it's simple elegance. And again, that's what floats my boat. So let's pull up the envelope and see what we have here. I'm going to leave that here in case you need to have that. So in this package for this card, and let me show you the inside of it again on this card. So that's what we have there. We have a card base. We have, this is the mushroom paper, but this is the flip side of it. And just to keep in mind, this is a directional paper. If you look at it carefully, you'll notice that the leaves are going up. And it looks like there's little dash marks in here. It could be grass. Okay, and you have a white piece. You have a piece of vellum, one of my favorite things to use. You will all soon notice that almost every one of my collections will have vellum in it. You have 2 die cuts of an octagon shape. One is smaller than the other. And in a little plastic bag, you're going to have the butterfly body. You'll have a thin piece of white cut cardstock. A base here. This is for your inside sentiment. You'll have this die cut piece. And you'll have a green octagon. Okay? So let's do our inside stamping first. And put this other stuff aside. So make sure you're happy again, dry fit this. Make sure you're happy with that. That looks good. And so what I'm gonna do now is we're going to stamp the inside of that with Granny Green Apple. And hopefully I did not pull out the time to celebrate. Let me grab this real quick. And here's a stamp there. I'm going to use that. So these are all from the Butterfly, Beautiful Butterfly collection. Grab a stamp block. There. Sorry for all the noise. Let's see if I can get this one on here. Yeah, I can do this sideways. I'm going to bring in my craft mat one more time. Here we go. Let's see. Scrap piece of paper. I always check. Okay. Let's see what we get here. Let me try that one more time. Looks like I have more ink on the right than on the left. Okay, I'm happy with that. And I got it on the upper third of the base of the card. So there is that. Keep in mind these inks always lighten up after you let them dry for a little while. And I've got another stamp here. It says happy birthday. Happy with that. And I didn't test that one because I had been using it right before we went online. And let's get this butterfly. It's like a half a butterfly. Yep, we're good there. Let that sit for a minute. Okay, I'm going to put that stamping aside. I believe we have no stamping on the outside, right? So I'm going to put all this aside for a minute. And let's put this part together then. And then we'll have the center done. You guys are awful quiet today. Okay. We're good there. So let's pull in our card base and put this in the inside. Okay, that looks good. How many of you been watching scrapbook videos? I'd love to know. Because I only do these card classes once a month. So I'm trying to figure out where everyone's likes and wants are at. Would love to know. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the front of the card. This is definitely something you want to dry fit. And I have purposely cut this longer so you can decide where you want these triangles to fall. So I think I'm going to line mine over in the left-hand corner. Then again, remember, this is a directional piece of paper from the Toadstool collection. Okay, so what I think I am going to do is I'm going to put this piece on first, making sure I have the direction correct. And I do want to get some of that ink up in the corners, but not too close because this is a pretty liquidy glue. In other words, it spreads quite a bit. Okay, put that down in there, kind of scoot it just a little. Then I'm going to come in with this piece and I'm going to line mine over to the left-hand side, knowing that I'm going to have to cut some of this off. So let's do that, and keep your ink away from your die cuts there in the center, or from the, you know, the little punctured pieces there. I should mention too that those of you who have gotten the kit, if not all of these holes right here are punched out, because sometimes I don't all come out. Let me scoot this down. I don't like how that is. There we go. If they're not all punched out, make sure you take your little punchy tool. This is what I call mine. And punch those out before you glue this piece down. Okay, so now I know I have some overage here, and I'm gonna go and cut this, being careful not to cut into my card base. Okay, get that off my scissors and into the trash. Now we're going to take our little tiny piece that we had, and I'm gonna glue this over the seam. But first, what I wanna do is make sure before you do that, that you have enough room for your octagon piece there. And I have plenty of room, well, not plenty, but I have room there. So I'm gonna bring in my art glue because it has a thinner line of glue coming out. And I may have let that dry too long. Let me see. We're going to need the same glue I like to use for my octagon pieces. And as you can tell when you die cut or you cut things, there's usually a right side and a wrong side. The side that's the right side, kind of the edges curl over. So make sure you're paying attention to that in the pieces that I've cut for you. Okay. Got that going on. We're gonna line this up as straight as we can and glue that part down. Hold it down for just a minute. There we go. And cut off any overhang that you have. Now let's get our octagons in place. So we want to center them left to right and then top to bottom. And mine's coming pretty close to the top, so I'm just going to leave a hair down below and at the top. So let's again find our back of the die cut, and we're just going to use little dots of glue. And make sure you kind of catch the corners. It will hold this down easier and a little bit better. And the reason why I use liquid glue a lot on pieces like this instead of my not glue, but my tape runner, is because I like to be able to move things for a little while. Okay, I've got it leveled up from left to right, top to bottom, and just kind of let it fall so you don't lose that shape of the octagon. That will be important when we go to put in our other pieces. Okay, there's that. Let's bring in our other octagon. We've got that one going on. And just a few dots of glue again here and there. Catch those corners. Okay. Let's put that down. Okay. Now we're going to bring in our green piece. And that should fit really snug right in there. If not, your liquid glue should give you a little bit of wiggle room if you need to fix that. So I'm going to use this glue one more time. And I left the lid off, so my own fault if it wouldn't come out. see here. Whoops. Slip sliding away. Okay, I think we're good there. Let me put my lid on. And now we're going to bring in our vellum butterfly. These are fragile, so be careful. And normally you don't want to glue through vellum where you're going to be able to see it because it will show. So right now we're only going to put glue on the body portion of this piece of vellum. Okay. And make sure you kind of where you want that. There we go for that. Now we go to our little bag. And we're going to finish this guy off. This is a pretty fragile piece because of his, I'm not sure what you would call those guys right here. So let's get this glued up. Again, being aware of what's the front and the side of this die cut. And we're going to lay that down in there, trying not to get our glue on our vellum. Just hold it down there for a minute. And I'm going to show you another little trick that I use quite often. I'm reaching over here for a piece of paper. So if you've got little things like the antennas here, antennas, that's what if that's the right term, guys. I'm going to put a little bit of like a kind of a scribble of glue here. I'm going to run that under the antennas and just get a little bit of glue on them and then punch them down. How about place them down, not punch them down? Okay, and that's how you can get it on those really tiny, tiny pieces. So there we have our card number 2. Here is our original. Here is our new one. Okay, any questions? No? Quiet again? All right, we're moving on to card number 3. And this one is pretty involved. So let's see how we can do with this one. Okay, put that aside. So this is what this card is going to look like. And here is our inside. So let's open our goodie bag, and this is going to have a lot of little odds and ends in here. So you have a white piece, you have a Granny Apple Green arch, you have a Melon Mambo arch, a Melon Mambo base. This is from the Toadstool paper collection again. This will be the front of the card, and here is another base. So let's get our stamping done first, and then I also have some ink blending. So we're going to pull out this piece, and we have cake pieces in this little bag. You know what? I'm going to get a little tray for all these. Just a moment. I use these trays all the time. They're from scrapbook.com. I should probably link those for you below. I haven't ever done that. I probably should. Okay. Here are the cake pieces. And here is the part that we're going to stamp the sentiment on. And then we have this piece. Let me see how I'm wondering which of these. Let me just double check. Okay, the smaller of the 2 white pieces is for your inside sentiment, okay? So we've got this stamping to do on all of this and some ink blending. Bringing back in my craft mat, which is an invaluable tool. And let's do some stamping. You'll notice on the card here, I just did some ink blending on these pieces, kind of coming up from the bottom and then kind of doing a soft white at the top, so it just kind of bleeds off is the wrong word, but it goes off smooth at the top. So I guess it'd be better to show you than to tell you. It's green, I don't want that. Okay, and I definitely am going to need a scratch piece of paper here. Make sure that you have the right front and back of these, because it definitely has that, okay? So I am going to just kind of use my fingers to hopefully hold this down. And keep in mind that less is more here. You can always add, but you can't take away. I think I want to do a little bit more. I think I'll take it up just a little bit higher. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. Okay, so there is the ink blending. Now we have a sentiment, which we've used one other time in this episode. So, oops, I put my ink away. Let's pull that out again. Okay. I've just noticed that the Y here on this stamp is going downwards. Let me see if I can correct that. Yep, there we go. Make sure this is dry before I stamp with it. I think I'll test this one more time before I put this down. Okay. One thing I wanted to bring up while I'm doing this stamping is those of you who bought this class or was sent it free for your order, the PDF will go out this afternoon. My husband and I have been going through major construction here at our house, so I didn't get to it right away. So I'm finishing up and it'll be sent to your emails tonight. Okay. So that'll tell you all your cuts and it'll tell you what stamp sets I used, etc. Okay. So we've got a happy birthday inside too, and then we're going to use our hibiscus flower again. All right, again, we've got the upper third here that we're going to do on this piece of paper, and our hibiscus. Let's just make sure we're okay here. Yep, we're good. And I have this coming off the side, so this is where it's good to use your craft mat. Just as a little bit more artsy craftsy, if you will. So I believe that does all of our inking that we need. Put this little guy to sleep for right now. All right, so put that off to the side, and this, let's go ahead and put down this layer inside of our card base. So we've got this going on. Ooh, got too much glue there. Okay, let's see. You want to just make sure all your margins are about the same size as best you can do. Trying to avoid my fingers in the ink there, just in case. It looks like I'm gonna have to hold that corner down. Let's put away the scratch sheet of paper for right now. Okay, think we're good there. So let's move on to the front of the card. So what we're going to do first is we are going to put this piece down. Actually, pardon me. We are going to put that down, but something doesn't look right. I think I want to take off another 1/4 of an inch on the top, and I think I included an extra piece of Melon Mambo for you guys. So just put that in your stash. Keep it. Let me cut this part off real quick. Let's see how that looks now. This is why you always want to do a dry fit. And then this is supposed to come over it. And we still need some cut off of this side. We may need a little bit more on this. Let's see how this goes. I'm looking for a 1/4 of an inch, or it could be a 1/16 of an inch. I think I want a little bit more off of that one. I think we're good there. All right, let's glue her up. So this one, let me see if there's a different, one way that makes you happy than another. I think I like it this way. There's really no direction to it. It's just personal choice. Okay, and now we're going to take this piece and layer it up on your Granny Apple Green. And get that in there. Okay, now let's put down the green arch first, but please make sure, I've got it over on the right-hand side, towards the right-hand side. I want to make sure that you have enough room for this Melon Mambo arch. So I think I know approximately where I want it, so let's get that in there. Okay. And get it as straight as you can on the bottom. In other words, make sure this is level. And then we're going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to go back to my Bearly Art glue. Let me see. And again, I don't want to got my glue hanging off the edge. You don't want a lot of glue glopped onto this piece because it'll come out and not look so great. So I'm just dotting this with just a little bit of glue, and you can see how fine the tip is on this, and that's why I love this glue for this type of thing. Okay. Okay, we got that. So this can lose its shape easy because it's, so flexible and thin. So lay this as best you can around this arch. And because of your glue, your liquid glue, you have a little bit of wiggle room. But you want it to come around that Granny Apple arch as tight as you can. Okay, so we've got that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into this little bag of tricks you have. And we're going to use our cake layer. And this is out of the new cake die, and it's listed on your PDF instructions. So it's going to come down here, something like that. So let's glue this piece up. Got that going. And while I'm waiting for that to dry, Uh-oh. I noticed I made a mistake. So what you want is a dimensional here. Pardon me for my error. Hopefully I didn't cause any issues with anyone. Let me put some more glue in here. So I've only put a dimensional on the bottom of this cake stand. I'm gonna hold it down for just a minute. Now I'm gonna take our icing pieces from the cake and we are going to layer the cake. We're going to ice it. So you have a big piece and a small piece. So I'm gonna get out my reverse tweezers. I think it's easier to hold these small pieces. Come back to my Bearly Art glue. And again, just be careful how much glue you put on here. I'm gonna bring back my craft mat just because sometimes this icing comes over the edge and so will my glue. So hopefully I'm on screen there. Can't look up right yet. I am. Okay, there's that piece. Scoot it up just a little. Let's bring in the top layer of the cake. And get that on there. My husband just had a birthday. We made a big cake for him, my granddaughter and I. Carrot cake, his favorite. Okay. I've got a little bit of a glue dot on there. I'm gonna use my adhesive eraser here. Okay. So now I'm gonna come in with some more dimensionals and we're going to layer this up. So let's start with this piece. And whoops, get some dimensionals going. Kind of avoiding the bottom line of this because I'm going to slip the top layer of the cake underneath that. So center this on your cake stand. There you go. And now we're going to do our top layer. And again, this is on dimensionals. And there we go. So we have one section left. Actually, we need to put some of our leaves down and some flowers. And we'll slip them on the cake here. These things are tiny. So just a little bit of glue on these. And we're gonna put that right in here. And I put in another one in your cuts if you feel like you need it. If not, just stick it aside for your next project. And I'm gonna put this flower on a dimensional. And I believe I put in, let me see, I might need a small, yeah, I'm gonna need a smaller dimensional for that. I did put in an extra flower in here just because it was part of that die cut. You know, sometimes you can cut 2 or 3 at once with one die. So use it if you'd like or not. You could just stick it aside for your stash if you'd like. Okay. All right, so we're going to put that up in here on a little tiny dimensional, and we're going to take one of our tinier ones and glue it. Kind of stick it under the other one so they're kind of layered. Looks like I cut myself on something. Oh, it's ink. Okay, then we have this, and I've included a lot of the silver string. So you can kind of use it as you wish, but I'm going to do a bunch of loopity-loops. But first, before we do that, there it is. I couldn't find my tear and tape. We're going to make a tear and tape sandwich. So I'll put a couple there, and I'm putting the twine kind of over on the left-hand side. So let's do this. I put 2 pieces down there and 2 on my hand, which are ready to go. They're on standby. I'm going to pull this release tape off and get this ready to go. Trying not to bend the die cut. There we go. So again, what I was saying is I've included quite a bit of this string, so use as much as you like, and I'm just looping this together in my hands, kind of going back and forth, making some loops. And what I want are 2 on each side. In other words, like there's 1, there's 2, and I think I'm going to be happy with that. So I'm going to lay that across here on our tear and tape, and it's not even, so let me pull this up again. All right, it came undone. Let me do this. Let's do this while it's down in my hand and stick it so I can make sure it gets even the way I like it. 2, and so that's our double, okay? So because I don't like my ribbon falling out, I always double layer this tear and tape up. So I'm going to put it back over where we've looped it at, and I'm going to pull the release tape off. And then I'm actually going to use some dimensionals on this. And I'll probably put 3 on here because you don't want the center of this to sag, especially after you send it through the mail. And any card that has dimension to it, you're probably going to incur extra postage, just so you know. So I will usually take these cards down to the post office because you invested all this time. You don't want it to go to waste, right? And you want your special card to arrive to those special people. Okay, so I've got 3 dimensionals down here. And we are going to, I'll cut off these ends once we get it down here. I am going to have this come over the middle of the arch. So this is going to be off center. And I think we might have to come over just a little so it's not hanging off the side. And there we go. So now I can cut my my ends where I want them. Hang on to any of that extra twine that you might want. And now we can put down our last but not least, we can put down our little sequins. And we got 1 going on up here and the other 2 down towards the bottom. Okay, I think we did it. So this is our original. This is the one we made today. And there we go. So on this card, you should have some little extras going on. You should have these pieces. For some reason, I've got an extra pink piece in there, and there should be some twine that you have left over. So there's that card. Moving on to number 4. And my desk is looking like a bomb hit it. Anyone else go through that when they're crafting? Okay. Let me check in with y'all here. Let's see. There is something going on with my system today, but we'll just keep going with it. Okay. So this is what card 4 should look like, and it's got lots of glitz and glamour. Hopefully you can see that. And here is the inside of that card. So again, we're using paper from the Toadstool collection, which is a 6x6 collection. And let's see what we have in our little goodie bag this time. So we have our card base. We have our piece of our striped paper. We have this piece here. And these, and then our little bag of tricks, if you will. And separately, because they didn't fit inside of that envelope, you should have a mushroom piece and a white, long, slim piece. So you should have all of that. So let's get started and see what we have to do with stamping. So the only thing we have to do in here is make sure, so we've got a white piece. We're going to stamp the word congratulations. And why don't I have that one out? Here it is. I'm taking that from the Happy Hibiscus set. And we're going to do that in, I think it's called, what is it called? Dark charcoal, basic gray. And let's get another block going on. Any of you guys have plans for this weekend? I'm planning on recovery. We've had construction people in our house for like the last 2 weeks. Okay. Scratch piece of paper. Here we go. Good. Okay, again, this is going to go in the top third of this card. There we go. Got that. Let's wipe that off. And let's glue our piece of striped paper on this. And I kind of leave a white border over here on the left. Let's go back to this glue. Okay, and you've got a, this should go to the top and the bottom of this sheet of paper. So there's no border down at the bottom, there's just a border on the left. And that looks good. So the next thing I want to do is make sure I'm good with this fit, and I am. So let's get this one done. And in it goes. Got that. All right, now the top of this, let's put a few things together first. So what we want to do is this mushroom piece of paper, we want to kind of center the top and the bottom and the sides. So let's put that down. I got some glue where it shouldn't be, so I'm going to clean that up in a minute here. So I'm watching my borders. We've got that down. Clean up this little mess, and my hands got a little bit of glue on them. Let's see if I can scoot this just a little. Okay. So this piece, we've cut some of your die cuts out of the center, again, to save on paper, but it won't show. So this, make sure you dry fit this too to make sure you're good. And it looks like I'm gonna have a little bit of a hangover. The paper's gonna hang over. So let's glue that one down. Trying to keep my fingers out of the glue. Okay, I think we got that in there. That must be, I must have cut myself or something there. I apologize. Okay, so what I want to do is make sure that I have some even cuts here on the side. I have just a little hanging over, but that's the kind of stuff that's going to bug me later if I don't take care of it. So it's just a hair, you can see, but just like them to look neat. So what's going to happen now is we'll put this piece down, and because we're gluing this onto, let's see if I can figure this out. Because we are gluing this onto the glitter paper, we do need to put some excess glue on it, and I would put something on top of this to let it sit on it for a while. So while we're doing some other things, because it just needs that time with glitter paper. Sometimes it's hard to adhere to that. So be a little excessive, but try and avoid it towards the edges. The excessiveness, you still need it on the edges. Okay, and you're just gonna have a very tiny border here. Okay, so I am going to, these aren't very heavy, but we'll use this on there just to kind of hold it down for a few minutes. So I've got glue on my fingers. Let me get this off real quick. So now we're gonna take our pinwheels out, and we are going to start gluing that down. Okay, my hands feel better. So we have some tiny, tiny pieces in here. Not that tiny, but tinier. So we have one big round scalloped piece and this piece. So, oh my goodness, my hands. Okay, we're gonna take this and glue this down. There we go. Then we have these other two pieces. And you'll notice on these pieces, again, they are a little fragile. One has a pointy top to it, and one has a rounded edge. And the one that we want right now is, let me see, how's the best to do this? All right, these are the white ones. Let's take the white one right now, and it has the pointy tips on it, and we're going to glue that down. But again, because we're going on to glitter, we want kind of a big piece of glue, or not piece, but a little bigger blob of glue in the center, because you are gluing onto the sparkly paper. And just hold that down for a minute, just so it can grab onto that. It's not important that all of the outside pieces be glued down, but if you want to, I would go back to the trick that I had shown you earlier by putting some glue on a piece of paper, kind of make a spiral out of it, and go under that piece and put a little bit of glue on it like that. And I'm gonna try and keep my fingers out of this. So we're gonna go under like this, get glue on there. Again, this isn't necessary, but since the pieces are a little fragile, it'll keep them from getting maybe torn off the card. Okay, I won't mess around with doing all that right now. Now what you're going to do now is you're going to take the white one and the sparkly one that have the rounded edges to them. And you're going to take the white one and we're going to offset it just a little. So in other words, the white is going to come in between the sparkly paper. And we're going to put some big time glue on this one on, again, the center, just so it has a good chance of sticking. And we're going to offset that again. As best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but it's just nice to have that sparkly paper shining through. Then with this one, what I did, and this is personal choice, I went through and I cut this in half. Okay, so I think we're ready to put these pieces together. So with this one, we are going to put down our little trick of the tear and tape, and we're going to put our ribbon on here. Trying to get the end of this. What I might do here is I think I'll put 3 pieces behind here because this is a little bit wider ribbon, just so it has every chance of catching back here. And I'm kind of doing this on the bottom third of this strip. Whoops. Let's try that again. It took everything off. Put that down. Much better. Okay, little guy, come on. Okay, let's bring out some little extra pieces. Looks like my tear and tape is coming apart. I'm gonna do these a little bit longer pieces. Okay, so our ribbon. This is again going to be personal choice, but the way I think I'm just going to do it is I am just going to do a loop. So what I want to do is I have our mushrooms going, and this is directional, so make sure you pay attention. The mushrooms are facing up on this side, so I am going to, I just realized I did this incorrectly because I wasn't paying a close enough direction to the mushrooms. So I'll use this extra tear and tape down here and flip this over, and I'm gonna do a loop. Okay. I want the loop to come over here. Okay, and let's cut this off now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in some dimensionals. And we may have to add some more once we cut this down, and you'll see what I mean. But for right now, let's do this. And I'm trying to keep the dimensionals purposely away from the sides so we can tuck some things under there. So let's go back to where we've been weighing down our paper to the glitter. And I want this piece to come off of the edge, and we're going to have this one come right up in here, okay? So what we're going to do now is come in here, and I've realized I've just done this slightly different than I did my original. You may, if you want it to look like the original, you may want to have this piece be put on to the stripe paper before you glue or put down the stripe piece. But that's personal choice. I've done it both ways, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. With this one, you'll notice it comes over, and the glitter is showing all the way around here. On this one, it is not. So if you want the more glitter to show, then you would want to do all this on the stripe before you glue down the stripe. Okay, so we're going to come through on here and put down dimensionals where we need them. I'm going to take the release paper off of that before I put it down. Okay, I think we're good there. And I'm going to put another one down in here. Trying not to bend my paper. Okay, so we're almost there. I put my ribbon down a little bit farther than I wanted to. So what I might do is rearrange this just a little. And I think that's good. So we'll glue this one down. Again, just, you know, you want quite a bit of glue, but you don't have to glob it up towards the edges. Okay? And with this little half guy, I'm going to stick him under like that. And I'm using my thinner glue tip here so I can get in these little pieces. And there we go with that. Then with this one, we're going to come right up in here and we're going to glue this one. We already have quite a bit of dimension with the part that goes across the front. Okay, so we are done there. I'll push some of this out of the way. We have our original and we have the one we made today, slightly different. So this one we have a wider edge of the glitter showing, which I must be honest with you, I think I like this one better. So I should have cut down the stripe some more. And then I should have, would have, right? I should have put everything down on the stripe prior to gluing it down to the glitter, so then I could cut these edges off while and all the glitter would show on an even edge all the way around. So different choices. So you have two different options here. So let's bring back in all of the 4 cards we made today. We've got one, and let me pull all of this other stuff off to the side. There we go, that card. trying to get everything out of the way for y'all. We got that card and that card. Okay, so those are our 4 cards for the February card class. And again, we have a hostess code if you want to order anything today. This will only be good for today, and then I will be putting out a new host code tomorrow. And the last day of celebration is today. And let me once again show you if I can find them. I can't find them, but you had seen the March class, and I'll be showing them on my scrapbook classes later in the month. With this class, I do have 3 sets left that are cut and ready to go. So I will hold that offer open again today, a $60 order, and I'll be happy to send these to you. Or you can order them over on my website, papercraftpossibilities.net. And you can go over to where it says, I think it's classes, and you can order, you can order this set once, and I have a inventory down there on the notes. So in other words, so when the last 3 cuts are sold out, I'll be pulling that one down. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I really, really appreciate you staying and hanging out with me. And I apologize again for all of the difficulties that we had today electronically. Gotta love it. So until next time, if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments and I will get back in touch for you. Thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.